Good morning, guys. How are we all doing? So Dan from Trading with Dan here. This is our Bitcoin morning update. So if you guys wouldn't mind smashing that like button, and we shall go straight over to those Bitcoin charts. So yeah, Bitcoin on the 4-hour we were looking at yesterday. It wasn't looking very strong. We were just basically barely holding above our support zone. Weren't managing to get away from it. So the inevitable happened, and then we lost that support zone. There was clearly no strength from the bulls. And yes, we lost that support level and pretty much have come down to our next one where we find ourselves at the moment around that 33,000. Obviously had some wicks just below it, but it is looking to try and hold this level here at the moment. So we've obviously got to see how this plays out. Are we just going to get some more bouncing around in this lower range now, between say 33,000 and 35,000, then potentially come and base out again, struggle to get much above 33, and then ultimately come back down to test this 30,000 level where things will look very dicey. Is that what is happening? We can only wait with bated breath and see. But yeah, at the moment, as you can see, if you want to have any hope of obviously not testing down to 30,000, we need to get back above. I mean, realistically, we can call it 34,000 just to give it a bit of leeway. Get above 34,000. Start closing 4 hours above there, and then we've got to try and mount an attack on the $36,000 level and get back above there. At that point, obviously after testing this lower level and getting back above 36,000, we then could look good for a move up into the top part of this medium term range of around 40,000, 41, 42,000 area. But obviously at the moment you have to have a bias to the downside. Price action has been shown itself to be very weak. We've had a move down, not really had a substantial bounce even from this short-term move as of yet. So yeah, all eyes on the Bitcoin market today. Do we literally from this level now attempt to bounce, attempt to push back up, or are we indeed coming down to the 30,000 level? This is a very dangerous level for us to get down to this 30,000 level, because it will certainly be a level where there will be a lot of stops from anybody that's basically been buying in this whole area over the time we've been down here. This would be a logical place to stop out of that trade and then attempt to buy at a lower level, maybe even around this $23,000 level. So yes, we have to keep our fingers crossed. It is squeaky bum time, getting even closer to squeakier bum time. So yeah, we've got to keep an eye on this. Obviously, things could start to turn around. Ethereum Satoshi pairing, as you can see, is holding up pretty well, especially in the context of the downside risk that is becoming ever more apparent in Bitcoin, but it's holding up pretty well. So this is looking good. So far as it's pairing against Bitcoin. Ethereum USD, the Ethereum fiat pairing. Yeah, you can see lost this horizontal, looking to try and regain it, but overall not doing much else obviously that Bitcoin isn't doing, which you can pretty much see by the fact that this isn't basically moving. So Ethereum is managed to hold its ground and not actually lose more than Bitcoin is losing at the moment, which is actually a bullish indication for Ethereum, because Ethereum is an altcoin, it's high risk, and if Bitcoin goes down or is threatening to go down even further, you would expect Ethereum versus the Bitcoin to tank, and Ethereum versus fiat to tank harder. So yes, Bitcoin dominance on the whole not actually making much of a move, which is interesting to see. There is bifurcation. A lot of altcoins are getting absolutely hammered, but yeah, not all of them. But yeah, we only really got a back test of a horizontal here, rejected and looking weak again. So yeah, well, the altcoin market is unusually strong as a whole, compared to the weakness we're seeing in Bitcoin. So that is interesting. That is clearly a tick for the bulls. In a lots of ticks for the bears overall. Stock markets not looking too bad. The dollar index, still just kind of ranging between where we're drawing these horizontals. Obviously, this above horizontal acting as resistance, and then the one we drew in yesterday, which we need to break below to see acceleration to the downside. Other than that, there isn't too much else I can show you. Bitcoin dominance and the Ethereum Satoshi pairing is showing that altcoins are quite believing that we are basically in a bear market yet, or that we're not going to see a decent move up. But we are at a point where we do realistically need to hold here. We don't want to be getting to test down here. I mean, ultimately that may be the play will be to get down to 30,000, some wicks below to absolutely savagely stop people out, maybe even down to 26,000, 26,500, taking out this lower wick here. Maybe that is the play before then we get a substantial bounce, maybe even into as far high as 50k. I mean, we know how crypto likes to move. I mean, that is a very plausible scenario. So yeah, just we have to keep an eye out for that potentially playing out. Stochastics probably not looking very good this morning. Yeah, 4 hour has turned back down. We shall wait for the 10 hour to load up. It will no doubt be I mean, it came back down to very low level, attempted to turn back up as we saw yesterday, but now it's turned back down. 12 hour still diving. Daily has turned back down and diving. 2 day is still turning down, but losing obviously its downward momentum. 3 day has just turned back down. 5 day still diving. Weekly still diving. Bi-weekly diving and monthly diving. So we near enough have a whole full house of downward stochastics. So all we can really say is that at some point they are gonna probably have a turnaround, and then it's gonna give us a nice bounce, and that will be where we will look for basically either the bull trap or onwards and upwards in this market's all-time highs. But nonetheless, we will get a major bounce at some point, and that major bounce will most likely give us a 40 handle, a 40k handle, 40 something basically into the 40k's for Bitcoin. It is just a question of how low we get below, how low we go beforehand, especially on that good old scam wick basis, how low that wick can get. How much liquidity they can grab, many people they can liquidate, how many people they can just stop out, not necessarily liquidate, but just actually just hit their stops before the market runs back up, without giving anybody real chance to buy in on any pullback, and then and see what happens. It is going to be interesting. It is going to be interesting. We are setting up for some absolute wildness here. We are certainly setting up for some wildness, so but there we go. This is clearly not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Always do your own research, and I shall speak to you guys soon.